All right, it's 5:30. Let's dive into it. So thanks for joining the virtual info session. I'm Kayla. I'm joined by Danny, our student outreach and recruitment manager at Code Platoon. Since you're here, you know a little bit about Code Platoon, at least to the point that you got the email to come to this. So welcome. We're happy to answer any questions you have or to just kind of talk through anything else. I did make a poll to get us started. If you don't mind, it's like going to take a couple seconds. I'm launching it now, but just so we can kind of understand like who you are, what questions you might have, so we can make sure we address all of those. So take a look at that if you don't mind. And then well, as we're getting started, I did want to share a couple like quick things that we're excited about sharing here. The first is our newly updated Intro to Coding program. So we've been working on a new version of our Intro to Coding course for a while now, and it's finally ready for folks to start using it. This is a free self-paced course built for beginners to explore Python, and it includes a lot of like hands-on practice. There's something like 50 coding exercises, so you can kind of cement what you're learning, like actively coding along with the lectures, which I tested it out as someone who doesn't code, and I did Hello World for the first time, and I was very excited by it. So officially this course isn't launching for a little bit, but since you're here, we are able to give you kind of first access as a little thank you for showing up. So if this is interesting to you, I'm going to put a link in the Zoom chat, and you're welcome to sign up today and check that out. No experience is needed. As I said, we start with Hello World and go up from there. So totally beginner friendly. I highly recommend it for beginners who are kind of on the end of still kind of exploring coding and technology. Awesome. So the second thing I wanted to give a quick update about is our next full stack software engineering bootcamp, Corsair Platoon, is now accepting applications. So Corsair Platoon is going to run from February to May next year, and the deadline is November 30th. So now is like a really good time to kind of start thinking about that if you're thinking you want to do one of the 15-week programs. So even doing something like intro to coding now to start getting ready before the deadline. So if you have been thinking about the full stack program, Corsair Platoon's a really great opportunity coming up. And it's going to have some new AI updates, actually, like some hands-on training in advanced AI tools and concepts, including training your own AI chatbots, which is going to be really cool. So if you're interested in applying or even just like learning more about the admissions process, we're happy to talk about that. Just ask. And for now, we're going to open the floor up to any questions you have. So ask away. Is there anything you want to add, Danny?
No, I think this is a perfect time if you are interested in software engineering, but might be lacking some experience. For our application process, we do recommend around 60 to 100 hours of software engineering, not obviously like at a professional environment, but just at your own pace, doing some different coding practice exercises. And for our upcoming Coursera, you have more than enough time to get that in by the end of November. We also have our Intro to Coding Live classes coming up, which is a fantastic way to get your start. Our instructor, Roger, is incredible. He was a Code Platoon student who has now graduated. He is very well versed, and overall, it's a totally free class to join, and it really gets you from 0 to 1 in software engineering. But yeah, I think that this is a great time, kind of top of funnel as we've had a couple deadlines just close out, and now we're gearing up for some future cohorts.
Yeah, so I took a look at the quiz results. We've got, it looks like 2 service members and a veteran present, some interest in the full stack program, some interest in the AI cloud program, and both indicated interest in hearing more about the programs. So why don't you tell us a little bit about the programs, Danny, like maybe at a higher level, and then we can dive in.
Yeah, absolutely. So right now we have two different kinds of curriculums. The first, which is kind of our flagship curriculum, is full stack development. Full stack development is one of the most requested roles within software development. It really does power a lot of e-commerce and the internet that we know as a whole. So when you think of web development, think of companies like Facebook, think of companies like Amazon, basically things that people will go onto a website and be able to interact with. Obviously, what you see and what you click on when you're going through as an end user on a website is super important. Like I'm sure we've all been on websites that kind of look like they're from the 90s. There's not a lot of dynamic scrolling happening. Sometimes they can be a bit clunky. Maybe they don't have things like a chat bot. But especially in today's world, it is super important for companies to be as cutting edge as possible and have their websites be really fluid for the end user experience. So all of that is really the front end that you're looking at. And then on the back end, how are the websites organized? Are the buttons doing what they're supposed to do? If you're inputting information, where does that go into a database? All the different aspects of a website when you're going through the different rich pages, how that works is part of the back end. So with full stack development, you're getting both sides of that coin to build websites and have them be cutting edge and things that you could ship and have customers utilize the same day. So that is for full stack development. That's the class we've been running the longest. And then there is another class that we are super excited about called AI Cloud and DevOps. And that's really focused on, some cutting edge expansion within software engineering, especially in the AI world. I don't think anybody's gone like a few days without hearing the word AI in the media and your friends and family. It's kind of part of the lexicon at this point. But that class is basically preparing you to create agentic AI, large language models, utilizing RAG AI, basically building out some different chat bots and creating API endpoints to LLMs. So if you did create a website that maybe has a little bot that can gather some information, give you some information, understand any problems that you have, provide you with answers. It is really, really popular right now with websites to include this and also utilizing AI for orchestration and infrastructure. So as we talked about before with web development, you have this website that people are interacting with, but on the larger scale of things, how that website is coded, how the code gets deployed, where the information goes into the cloud, server side rendering, all those different aspects are really important with engineering. And that's what you focus on with AI, cloud, and DevOps. So two different paths, one a little bit more creative and one a little bit more on the operations side. And we offer both of those paths evenings and weekends. So that's about a 20-hour a week commitment. And then for full stack, we offer that in an immersive setting. So if you did have the time and ability to commit 40 hours a week, you can do that almost like a job, Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 5:30. And that class is only 15 weeks long. If you're doing evenings and weekends, it's about 28 weeks in length, but at the same time, it gives you a lot of flexibility for other responsibilities in your life. So two classes, two different ways to kind of learn in terms of the time commitment. And overall, we have a lot of experience with great instructors performing those classes and getting you to the point where you can go out and get a job as a software engineer.
Awesome. Thanks, Danny. That was a lot of information. So if anyone has any
Yeah.
follow-up questions or wants us to repeat anything, just let us know. So how would you recommend somebody who isn't sure yet if they're interested in full stack or AI cloud? Maybe they have a little interest in both. How would you recommend they approach determining which program they might want to do?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think we are coming out with a little bit of a rubric that can help assist you in deciding. I have something that I can kind of share now, but overall, I think a lot of it depends on where your interests lie. If you're interested in building that thing that your customers are going to be utilizing and really working with tinkering it, making it the best product possible, learning a lot of new technologies and bringing all those technologies together to give something that people are really going to enjoy, I think full stack development is the way to go. If you really prefer like kind of dissecting things, figuring out how they work, best ways to optimize, if you're focused in like cybersecurity, if you're focused in the larger structural scale of things, I think that AI, cloud, and DevOps would be a better fit. They're closely aligned, but again, very separate career paths.
Awesome. Thank you, Danny. Um, let's see, what's another common question that a lot of people ask? Oh, first of all, like I don't want to dominate the conversation. So like if anyone does, all right, Patrick,
Yeah.
awesome.
Hey everybody, good to meet you. So Daniel, I did receive a couple emails from you. I
Mhm.
submitted my first application for
Yeah.
the Delta Platoon. Um, I am very new to learning tech and more specifically this program through Code Platoon. Um, so I hadn't submitted the part two of the application. Um, is there still a way I can try and move forward with the Delta Platoon cohort?
Yeah, great question. And unfortunately for Delta Platoon, that deadline period has ended. But the best thing about Code Platoon is that we keep forward and we have other options for you. I would definitely recommend getting part two submitted. It is the same exercise that you would go through for all of our cohorts. So whether you're doing full stack or whether you're doing AI, cloud, and DevOps, you're going through the same exercises on CoderByte. So if you wanted to complete that and then do our next AI, cloud, and DevOps class, which will be in 2026, I would highly recommend that. Or if you wanted to maybe pivot and do, our full stack immersive program next, that has a deadline at the end of November. But I definitely think what can be difficult for prospects is seeing those deadlines and feeling like they have to get to a competency level under that time frame. I think it's really important that people just commit the time to getting those things completed, and then you can focus on whatever cohort will work best for you next. So, out of curiosity, Patrick, were you going to do the AI Cloud and DevOps? Was that only you were only interested in doing it evenings and weekends? I mean, that's the only offering that we have now, but just wondering with your personal time commit if a full stack immersive class could be a fit as well.
Um, I don't think, based on my current circumstances, the immersive course would be ideal for me. Um,
Yeah.
I think, after having some conversations with some of my friends, they suggested, trying to do the AI cloud um, and DevOps. So that was what piqued my interest. Um,
Yeah.
so it kind of stinks that I missed that deadline for that upcoming cohort, but it's all good.
Yeah, and I would say, our next platoon for AI Cloud and DevOps will be Echo. And you can have more than enough time to not only get your application in, get
Yeah.
everything situated in terms of funding, but also you could, continue to progress and learn in the meantime. I think that getting your application in is great. That means that you're kind of conditionally accepted into the program. But while you have time in between, you can get your skills better with Python. I would say, Patrick, when you're doing part two of that application, it would be best if you complete it in Python. That will be the language of choice for AI, cloud, and DevOps.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, my pleasure. And if you ever want to find some time to chat a little bit more about the program or just in general, like some different ways for you to keep your skills sharp in the in between, feel free to send me a note. We can schedule some time for a phone call. And if you have any other questions on this call, please don't hesitate to unmic and just ask away.
You got it. Thank you so much for answering my question.
Yeah, absolutely.
What's up, Owen?
Hey, how you doing, guys? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're doing good. How are you?
I'm good. So first off, Daniel, do you go by Dan, Daniel, Mr. Mercano? What do you go by?
Oh, you can call me Danny.
Okay. Yeah, can I just get a list of the languages that get used in the full
Yeah,
stack course?
absolutely. So,
Thanks.
JavaScript is a back-end programming language. React is a front-end framework, and then Python is a really good language for connecting APIs.
Okay.
So,
Yep.
yeah, APIs are basically just like you linking your website with another website to stream information. If you've ever been on like the weather app within Google or Apple phone, they have an API pull that goes to the weather channel. So it's not actually Google that's like giving you that information. Google's getting that information from the weather channel and then presenting it to you through an API. But backend JavaScript is kind of the cornerstone of that program for full stack development. And then React is probably not probably, it is the most widely used front end framework. So when you're building out website, it's basically a kit that allows you to kind of access pre-designed code and features to make your website look really good and really cutting edge. If you've ever been on Space Jam's website from the 90s, that hasn't been touched at all. And it's obvious. I kind of love looking at old tech like that. But if you look at like, um, I don't even know, like Apple's website today, if you ever like scroll through it, it has these really fluid, dynamic things that happen in the background where pictures get larger, kind of shifts you through information. Those are all things that are built in a framework like React.
Yep. Yep. Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, I'm just asking because I'm getting a bunch of Udemy courses and going through them right now.
Yeah.
And another thing, I know JavaScript runs in conjunction with HTML and
Mhm. CSS.
CSS. Yeah. Should I brush up on that too, or are we not really going to be touching any of that? So I
It-
understand. I
yeah.
took a little bit of a JS course last night,
Mhm.
and they said that the JavaScript is like the verb, the HTML is the noun, blah blah blah. But are we really going to be needing anything with HTML and CSS?
It wouldn't be bad to brush up on it, but with the React framework, it'll take care a lot of that stuff for you.
Okay.
So it's almost like making a cake from scratch. Like it's good to know the components, but for the most part, when you're working in an environment that is more contemporary and more modern, you're making cake from like box cake batter,
Yeah. Yeah,
So
that
you're
makes
not really
sense.
starting from scratch as much, but it doesn't hurt. It's going to make you a good cook regardless, because when you're looking at some of the pieces of React, it's important to know what they do and why they're doing what they do.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. And I've heard that learning HTML and CSS is actually pretty easy
Yeah, it is kind
comparatively.
of yeah, it kind of throws me back to like maybe I'm dating myself, but like the MySpace days, like
Yeah.
back then. Yeah, everybody was like making their own cool website with different like cursor, kind of like appearances and like, cool wallpaper. So like it's not tough. I mean, like 13-year-old me was doing it. But at the same time, like the more expansive you get, it can be a little bit more complex. But yeah, it's not comparatively learning HTML and CSS will be pretty easy. JavaScript will be a little bit spicier. And then TypeScript is another one that's very common, which is kind of like a derivative of JavaScript where all of your code has certain types. And people love that for website design because it is very, very well organized. So if another team wants to jump in on your code, they can pick it up pretty easily. And yeah, it's very collaborative. So a lot of people can hand code back and forth, and they're all working within a set of types.
Well, Danny, I gotta say, you don't look a day over 80.
I appreciate that. I
Nah, I'm
appreciate
just kidding. You look 25. Okay, that all makes sense. Thank you. That answers my question.
Yeah, well, I'm glad that you were able to utilize MySpace when it was in somewhat of its heyday. I feel like I've forgotten my password. It'd be fun to look back and see who was in my top 8. That was
Sir, I
ever.
was born in 2004. I
Oh
did
Oh,
my
not
yeah.
use
goodness.
that.
I never had MySpace. I was born in the
Yeah.
90s though, but my first was Facebook.
Yeah, I was sad. I heard that they just discontinued AOL. So that is no
I didn't know that
AOL
even still
Instant.
existed.
It did. I don't think a lot of people used it, but it has finally been sunsetted. Tech moves fast. Tech moves
Yeah.
fast, and I think that's probably one thing that is really exciting about our program too, is that like you're learning in a way that will prepare you for the future, but also the future is somewhat uncertain. We created AI Cloud and DevOps that used to be just DevOps, and with the rise and demand for AI, we are updating our curriculums. And I think it's really important when you're deciding who to learn from to make sure that they are focused on what is the current environment and being future focused as well. Because, like 4 or 5 years ago, if you were to become like a WordPress or PHP developer, you would basically be kind of like left behind in a couple years. And one of the best skills that you can learn as a software engineer is adaptability and the ability to learn and the ability to understand some of these concepts and apply it in different ways. A way that I've always talked with it with engineers is being a software engineer is like being a carpenter. No carpenter is like really, really good at the hammer. They're really good at understanding their set of tools and when to apply different tools for different jobs. So you might be a full stack developer that for the next 6 months has to get really good at React. Doesn't mean that you lose your JavaScript skills. It just means that for this, next project or whatever the feature build is for your company, you're going to be heavily into React. The next 6 months might be working on a greenfield development project that's all JavaScript, and you might not touch React for a little bit. But it's really important just to be flexible.
Absolutely. Thanks for the example, Danny. I love what Owen and Patrick are saying in the on the chat about lifelong learning and continuous learning, and that's definitely a good mindset if you want to go into tech. And that's something that
Yeah.
our curriculum team has as well. Like we said, we're integrating AI. I think that's one of the great things about a coding boot camp is that the curriculum can update really quickly compared to like we've had some people who went to a college program and then decided to do a coding boot camp, and they're like, man, I wish my college program
Yeah.
didn't talk at all about AI or like a whole
Yeah.
lot of relevant things. So it's interesting. Owen, what's up?
But in Mr. Danny's case, it's double or triple lifelong learning.
Yeah. Yeah. Basically. And to your point, Kayla, that's true. I mean, like I did my undergraduate about 10 years or so ago, and I was doing computer science and we taught in Java, and it made sense. I mean, the reason why colleges will teach in certain languages is because that's the most widespread language. So at the time, Java was where people got jobs, especially in Chicago, where I was born and raised. There's tons of fintech companies that use Java. There's tons of health tech companies that use Java. But if you look right now, and especially with a lot of the people that I've worked with in the past, people that got into Java sometimes got really siloed and just stuck with Java and didn't learn any other languages. And now their compensation levels are capped because the high paying jobs out there aren't Java. Where if you were a Java engineer that like was kind of keeping current with the times and decided, hey, I'm going to become a Rust engineer, I the upward bound of getting paid as a Rust engineer is in the millions. I mean, I have a buddy who just hired somebody at his company, and the base salary is $350,000 to be a Rust engineer. Total comp package is somewhere in like the 700K realm. There's not a ton of great Rust engineers out there, but it's like those stepping stones and continuing to learn and continuing to develop. And so I think working through a boot camp, getting to the point where you're competent in understanding the basics of software engineering is kind of just step one. And then getting more and more proficient, being able to learn and develop, and especially finding those niches is really important. I mean, what was it? Meta Superintelligence just made an offer to an AI engineer for like $125 million. If that AI
Yeah, I saw
engineer
that.
was like interviewing at a company 4 years ago, Nobody's offering that because AI didn't matter as much back then. So a lot of it is being relevant with the times, staying on top of your skills and being able to market yourself. It's super, super important in technology because everything moves so quickly.
100% agree, Danny. So welcome to Tyler P. So far we've talked a little about the programs and also roasted Danny for being old. So this is kind of a casual thing. So if you have any questions, feel free to
Catching
unmute and
strays.
just say them out or put them in the chat. But we got something in the chat from Patrick. Would you be able to cover the tuition assistance slash VA benefits utilization for the Code Platoon boot camps?
Absolutely. And we really want to be as inclusive as possible. So we have a scholarship policy now that is literally pay what you can. So the most common ways that people will fund their program is to do their GI Bill, post 9/11 GI Bill, VA benefits, do like VR&E, and then we also have a scholarship program that can cover anybody really, as long as you're part of the military community, whether that be a veteran, spouse of a veteran, and even adult dependents of a veteran. So with that scholarship policy, we basically, once you complete your application, part two, you're conditionally accepted. We'll have a meeting where our compliance manager will basically just ask you how much you can realistically pay, and then the rest will be covered via a scholarship. So that I think is a great option for individuals that are interested in getting a new career path or expanding their skill set, and not having to spend money out of pocket in order to do so. So yeah, I think that answers a little bit about some of the funding and VA and tuition assistance. But it's definitely something that we are very mindful of as an organization. We don't want to have anybody left behind or feel like they financially can't participate.
Absolutely, yeah. So just to sum up real quick, for VA benefits, we accept the GI Bill and VRNE, which used to be called Voc Rehab. And Danny is an expert, as is our enrollment manager. So we can help you with that if that's something
Yeah.
that you are looking to pursue.
I am well versed. Tish is definitely our house resident expert, but through Tish, we all get a ton of information, which is great. And we're very flexible. So, like when you see those deadline dates, like I think for Coursera, we have November 30th. That is just for you to complete part two of your application. If you're still working with a counselor to get your funding in order or get any information from VRE, that can continue up until the start date of the class. So don't feel like you have to get everything in order by that application deadline. Just get part two of your application in. And I would say that if you are interested, a big call to action that I would have is take a look at part two. It's fun. It's a little spicy. There's some interesting problems in there. I would say when I think back on my education level with software engineering, we would encounter problems like that. There's three in total. We would encounter those problems probably halfway between programming one and the beginning of programming two. So they are not designed for people that have zero experience, which is why we ask that you put in some time to learn and understand some different principles like if-else statements, declaring variables, being able to work through loops, for loops, while loops, nested loops, being able to print out your statement. But at the same time, if you have no experience, it's good to get an understanding of what you would need to do. If I told somebody that, hey, you have to study for a math test, and I just called it math, you could spend 10 years studying for it and not study the right aspect of math. But if I tell you, hey, you're going to study for a geometry test around hexagons, now your ability to focus and study becomes that much greater because you know what is to come. So if you're planning on completing part two of the application, even if you don't have the skills to do it right now, I definitely think it makes a lot of sense just to look at the problem, understand what's being asked of you. And then as you're going through your own kind of journey and learning, you can have a little notebook that's like, oh, this is talking about strings. I know there's a string challenge. Let me make sure that I pay extra attention here. Or, hey, this is to do with arrays. Well, I'm going to be needing to do this exercise involving arrays. let me focus on this. So yeah, I think everybody on this call would benefit from looking at those problems as soon as they can. And Kayla, I think, did you have that little treat for them? Oh yeah, we put it in there. Also, launch point would be super helpful. You're able to get in there early. We're really excited about having this launched. It's very easy for you to jump in, get started on some of these exercises. And that's really the joy of learning in software engineering. I absolutely love just being able to figure things out. And when you hit a wall and you're like, I don't know how this works, to break through that wall and get on the other side, it just has a real great feeling of accomplishment.
Absolutely. Like I said earlier, I started intro to coding. I've worked at Code Platoon for 3 years. I've never attempted to code before, but I started intro to coding and I had a blast just doing Hello World. So I'm planning to finish it. And I hope if anyone here is a beginner, kind of interested in exploring those fundamentals, you give it a shot. We're really excited to launch it. Thank you, Owen. But I'm not the instructor. There's a reason for that. Awesome. Does anyone have any other questions? We can just like chit chat all day, so I want to be respectful of everyone's time. What's up, Owen?
Yeah, not a question, but I'm just taking a little glance at this course and how is this course free? This looks really good.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know if I have an answer for that. Probably like sponsors. We have some great donors. Who did we work on this with Accenture?
Yeah, no, they helped with something for in the classroom.
Mhm.
It's free because we're a nonprofit and our goal is to
Yeah.
help veterans and military dependents get jobs in tech, and this is part of that goal. So it's free because that's what who we are and what we do. That's a
Yeah.
cheesy way to say it, but that's the best I can do.
Change the name from Code Platoon to Code Philanthropy, please.
We'll ask our CEO about that. But it's definitely
Yeah.
a unique place. I mean, you're able to learn with individuals that have gone through a similar life experience as yourself. Everybody's working towards the same goal. And from what I have heard numerous times, one of the best aspects about going through Code Platoon is joining the alumni network, where now you're tapped into thousands of other individuals that are just like you, working through their careers in software development. Several of our graduates come back and become instructors just because that's their way of giving back to the program that gave them so much. And I think it's a really special, unique thing. Being in a non-for-profit setting just allows us to focus on the quality of the curriculums versus trying to make money, which a lot of coding camps can kind of toe the line between having a good curriculum, but then also trying to make as much money as possible, and can kind of start detracting away from, what their end goal is, which is to make you a good software engineer.
Absolutely. And another thing that I think is really cool about Code Platoon is we partner with companies and organizations all over the country that also want to help with this. So we have partners that will hire our grads after they graduate sometimes, and we also have partnerships with places like Robert Half, which is a staffing agency, and they have professional recruiters that come in and do mock interviews and teach you how to build a LinkedIn profile. We also have professional resume reviewers, and they do all of that for free to help with this goal of getting y'all as job ready as possible during the program. And afterwards, once you're in the alumni network, you work with career services, which is a team that helps you with the job placement, helps connect you with opportunities, and does workshops on these sort of things just to continuously prepare.
Absolutely. They are some heroes here. Career Services goes above and beyond to get you, a job as quickly as possible. And overall, once you get into a great environment, that's your learning continues to thrive. And so we have affiliate partners like Accenture, DRW that hire from us extensively. and overall puts you in a great environment where you can learn from people that are more senior than you, but also have a big interest in helping you learn, helping you grow as an engineer. Being put in the right environment is just absolutely invaluable when you're early in your career.
Yeah. Any other questions? Cool.
Hey,
We're all
oh,
just chilling, then I'll give everyone back their time unless there's anything. Oh, I see Tyler unmuted. Hello.
hi. I'm sorry. Like I said, I joined late. I apologize. I was interested in the cloud slash DevOps pathway of the program. Have you guys spoken about that already?
We have, but happy to go over it again. We basically took our DevOps program and really bolstered it with AI principles to uh, help you be better prepared for the demand and the current changing technology landscape with AI. It is such an in-demand skill set. And in this class, you will be learning tools in terms of building out RAG AI, agentic AI, having APIs that connect to LLMs, and doing some automated orchestration through AWS SageMaker. And we also have this course designed to prepare you to sit and take the AWS AI practitioner exam so you could get that certification. That's kind of, a big focus of the course is centered around AWS AI. And then we also add in some infrastructure and DevOps principles there as well.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we did record this session, so you're welcome. We're gonna post that on our YouTube channel where all of our other recordings are. I'm probably gonna do that tomorrow, Friday at the latest. It'll be up soon, so you're also welcome to take a look at that once it's up if you want to see what we talked about before. But we're happy to like rehash anything if there's anything you want to know about. Where this time is for you to ask your questions and us to answer. So we're happy to talk about whatever. All right. Owen said no more questions. I think Patrick's good. Anything else, or otherwise we will continue on. And by continue on, I mean end the session. That was weird phrasing on my part. Okay, awesome. So thanks again for joining. One last time, we're launching that new updated Intro to Coding course. It's not technically launching yet, but I did get permission from my manager to like make you the first people who have access to it. So if you haven't yet, definitely check that out. If you are a beginner, or even if you're not a beginner, you can skip the first couple modules and just check it out. Start learning some Python. The best way is to get your feet wet. So
Yeah.
otherwise, this is going to be on YouTube, as I said earlier. And otherwise, you're welcome to talk to Danny whenever. His email address is danny@codeplatoon.org. So if anything comes up, don't hesitate to reach out to us. And thank you and have a good rest of your day.
Yeah. Have a great rest of your Wednesday evenings. Take care, everybody.